Still watching Morning at NTV. Now, we're going to get into the speaker context, influence, and experience. What is at stake? Because it's more than just a ceremonial sit. Yesterday, Parliament voted and elected a new speaker in Right Honourable Jacob Maxons Oboth, and Deputy Thomas Tayewa, who will be at the helm of the parliamentary leadership for the next 5 years. Now, at stake is more than a ceremonial seat. The Speaker of Parliament controls debate, legislative direction, accountability processes, and ultimately the political temperature of the nation. Now, in a parliament where the ruling National Resistance Movement continues to command a dominant majority, critics argue the real question is whether competence and independence can survive in such an environment under overwhelming party influence. Recent political developments have also exposed tensions inside the ruling establishment itself, and a number of political analysts described yesterday's contest not merely as an election, but as a referendum on loyalty, institutional independence, succession politics, and future credibility of Uganda's legislature. We make sense of the next legislative house leadership, and with this I have two guests in studio with me. If time allows us, we shall be joined later on by others, but in studio with me, closest to me, I do have the Assistant Resident City Commissioner of Arua City, Job Matua. A very good morning, Job. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning to you, my brother Sonko Joram, and good morning, my Omera Okwera, and good morning, the people of Uganda.
All right.
Brother Joram, this morning we received the body of the departed son of our AIGP, Afande Tob Magambo, according to the communication by the Honorable Minister Balam Bargahare. Today at 9 a.m. we shall have a requiem mass at Our Lady of Africa in Mboya. Then a burial will be in Masindi on a Thursday. So it is therefore proper that I wish the soul of the departed son of Afande Magambo, that is the Timothy Magambo, to rest in eternal peace. That's one.
Okay.
Two, I would like to welcome back the members of Parliament from a good job done yesterday. Thank you very much, our members of Parliament, for electing your leaders for 12 of Parliament. We now have a speaker and deputy speaker who are the presiding officers for our Parliament. We now have the Right Honourable Maxon Jacob Oboth as our speaker. We now have the Right Honourable Thomas Tayewa as our deputy speaker for 12 of Parliament. I want to congratulate Jacob Oboth. I want to congratulate Thomas Tayewa upon your decisive win. My brother Joram and my other Omera. Omera is also brother. Muganda Wang. Okwera. Oboth obtained 441 votes, valid votes cast. Can you imagine there were 3 MPs who invalidated their votes? If we can have invalid votes at that level, then you need not to doubt the invalid votes at the grassroots. Now, so 441 votes in a parliament made up of 372 members of National Resistance Movement means that some opposition MPs voted for Jacob Oboth. And then the Right Honourable Thomas Tayewa obtained the 457 votes. That means a bigger population of the opposition again voted with NRM for Thomas Tayewa. So this means that we have a unity in Parliament. This means that the elections went beyond party line. If they were only restricted to party lines, we would expect at least the winner to obtain margins of votes within the numbers of NRM members. So therefore, I also want to congratulate His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni Kaguta for continuing to guide the party in the right direction. I want to thank the members of Central Executive Committee for making the right decision so that there is no much division within the party, with the party endorsing Jacob Obote and Thomas Tayebwa moving into the election. We prevented unnecessary disunity, and therefore the results are evidence of the mechanical way of maintaining unity, be it. Now,
Right,
I also want to, there's one thing
I wanted to first introduce Mr. Okwera Moses Mugisha before we get deeper. On set as well, we also have Moses Mugisha Okwera, FDC chairperson, Nakawa. Good morning.
I like
Thank
his
you for
name.
joining us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sonko Joram and the management of NTV for inviting me here. Happy to see my Omera here, Mr. Job Matua. I send my best regards to Nakawa East constituency and people of Nakawa. Also my regards to FDC leadership establishment. On a side note, it's very unfortunate also from Batabeka side, we lost a very long-standing dentist from Batabeka Hospital. Madame Deborah just died instantly. It's very, very bad to the family of Chiza, family of Luzera prisoners, family of Kishwari Center. He worked in all those places. We were there to mourn with the family. Very unfortunate. And all those who lost their ones, we send our best regards and we pray to God comforts you. Those who got the good things, I congratulate my chairperson, Mubis Council, Madame Lomonia Olive, who became the president of Rotary Club of Kampala North. We were there for a function yesterday with the principal of Mackay University Business School, Professor Muhweza Moses. Congress Kampala North, wish you all the best. So all those who have got good things, please wish you all the best, and my Elemental God bless you in all endeavors. My name is Mugisha Moses Okwera. I'm the chairperson of FDC Nakawa. I stood as a member of parliament for Nakawa East. The voters postponed my passing to 2031, and by God's grace,
who took the seat?
And the seat was taken by the new person who is Mufombiro, who was in prison, but somehow, somewhere, the circus, you know what the circus which happened yesterday, it went to NRM. But all in all, thank you so much for viewing, and I wish you the best, those who view NTV. Thank you so much.
All right, let's get into yesterday's speakership a bit. Job, you've mentioned something very interesting.
Yes.
When you look at how the votes stand out and how everything moved, you could only say it was majorly driven by party affiliation. Because when you look at, let's say, the speakership race, 60 voted for Paul Muiru, 15 voted for Norbert Mao, and then the other 441 went on to vote for Jacob Maxons Obote.
Yes.
So when you look at that, and that is the majority of which are affiliated to the NRM or the independents themselves who are NRM leaning.
Yes.
So when you look at those numbers, does it not undermine the essence of independence within the party, or it's just because the NRM has the numbers, so obviously they had to win?
Yeah, thank you very much. The people of Uganda, in 2005, this country decided to take a different direction in terms of the politics of the day. We migrated from the movement system of governance where we would elect Omera Okwera Mugisha based on his individual merit, or where we would elect Muganda Wange Sonko Joram based on his individual merit. Then we went into party politics, what we call the multi-party democracy. One of the doctrines of multi-party democracy is that there must be caucusing, consensus generated at the party level, which is then carried over to the national level for decision making. My brother Joram. Therefore, the pattern of voting truly reflects what you are talking about, that the people really voted alongside their party, which is very good. That's what multi-party democracy means. I think that Only on non-partisan issues will people come and vote unanimously. Now, therefore, multi-party is taking root in Uganda. That's one. Multi-party is multi-partyism or multi-party politics is taking root in Uganda. We can discuss the form, like now my brother Mugisha, Omera Mugisha complained that Mufumbiro is the one who won. Me, I know the Honorable Ruhindi was declared by the Electoral Commission and therefore is the winner. That's authoritatively. The other party we will discuss because there's nobody who has gone to court. So I want to tell the viewers that actually it is the Honorable Ruhinda who won, not Mufumbiro, as my good Omera said. So the election pattern therefore means that all the NRM MPs really respected the decision they took in the caucus, or the following, actually the previous day, that's Sunday, to support the Honorable Maxon Jacob Obot and the Honorable Thomas Taebwa for the position of the chair of Parliament. So that is very good. We must promote that. There must be discipline in the party. I also want to congratulate the NUP people. For the first time, I think, then you can see the 60 votes. If you look at the number of NUP MPs, it means that the NUP MPs even voted for their candidate.
Job, a moment. Where does that leave Thomas Taebwa? And what does that, how should people perceive the party in a situation where Thomas Taebwa served under the previous parliament, the 11th parliament, yes, but the speaker, Anita Among, couldn't make it to that ballot for the speakership yesterday? Where does that leave the party?
Thank you very much. I'm coming to that very fast. I wanted to address this issue. So I have already said the voting pattern reflected deepening of our multi-party democracy. Now I want to answer your question. Countrymen and women, in the CA, Constituent Assembly, and for the benefit of our younger people who may not understand what a Constituent Assembly is, this is a Constituent Assembly is a temporary assembly of representatives selected from different constituencies whose primary role may be to review a constitution or to enact a new constitution for a country. In the CA, in 1994, when the CA sat to arrive at the 1995 constitution, the overbearing issue, Joram and my brother Mugisha, was that Uganda had been bogged down by excessive authorities of president. The president, we were having overbearing executive. So Parliament, the Constituent Assembly, the delegates in CA, we are running away from the tyranny of the executive. They ended up with the tyranny of the legislator. Now, we have now seen from 10th Parliament to 11th Parliament that actually tyranny can be in the Parliament. That speakers can also be overbearing to the extent that they may disadvantage the people of Uganda. So we ran away from the tyranny of the executive and ended up with the tyranny of the legislator, the tyranny of the Parliament. And therefore, what happened in 11th Parliament is very regrettable. There was corruption, there was impunity, there was abuse of office, and therefore it was the right and just for the leadership of Parliament to be held responsible.
But the leadership has two people. The
question is, why only hold the speaker and leave the deputy speaker? If you, my brother Sonko, if you read the article written by the Honorable Betty Amongi Ongom, the outgoing minister for gender, labor and social development, it reveals why Taebwa survived and my sister, the Right Honorable Anita Among, was crucified. You get me? So it boils down to how do you use leadership? How do you use the power? My brother Sonko, if you are in the power, please be humble. My leaders and my leaders out there, the ministers who are going to be selected, the members of Parliament, the LOC 5, the city mayors, please, once you become a leader, leadership is for service.
John, a moment. Moses, yes. He mentioned something about loyalty. But
Yes.
Just briefly.
Yes.
He mentioned something about leaders being loyal, serving the interests of the people, and this in, as an example and reference to the situation surrounding the current, mood of the former speaker to Parliament, Anita Among. But questions have been raised that she was the speaker and her deputy is back in Parliament in the same position, whilst she's not back. And do you agree with his?
I was still developing my answer.
I
Let him come out.
respectfully disagree. In fact, in the eye of the public, people see it as a tribalism. People see it as nepotism. Because remember, when there was allocation of some money to the commissioners, that time where commissioners got 400 million, the speaker got some part, deputy got some part, and the commissioners got. In other words, by extension, whatever privileges the speaker always got, the deputy always also got. Now, when you say that you remove the speaker and the deputy comes, that's promoting impunity. It's nothing but pure tribalism. In fact, it's tribalism. Because the people now will see, for us from Teso, we're being moved out. The Westerners will always take their way in one way or the other. So it doesn't mean that somehow it has been planned. So the exit of Anita Among was planned way back. This time around, it has been shown tribalism at play. Sonko and my dear friend Jacob and
but there is an extent of also holding someone accountable, I want to believe.
You see, Anita Among has not been charged. Anita Among has not been proved to be guilty on anything. Those are just assumptions here and there. There's a lot of allegations. So there's nothing so much that has been proved to be. Many MPs are in court, but they were sworn in. They voted yesterday. Yes, just like Hon. Wakadaga was allowed to last time stand as independent, Anita Among also had been given a chance to allow to stand. But because there is so much of fusion, there is so much of being biased, particular person, because Anita Among did some work for particular MPs to be MPs. They were threatened so much. If Anita Among is on the ballot, chances are that even both could not do what. So in other words, you would have allowed everybody to exercise their rights, just like Honorable Kadaga was given a chance to also be on the ballot. So Anita Among has so far scored very highly.
In what regard?
In the public eye, because allowing Honorable Tayewa to stand as the deputy speaker, Anita Among scored so highly, silently. You can score so, for us who have been in politics, you can score so silently when you are scoring. If they wanted a fair way of doing things, Tayewa would also have been put off, completely off. But now that we have made me to come to share about this, the speakership issue, Mr. Sonko and friends listening watching us, this whole circus culminated from the election which we went through. It was a pure circus. I was a candidate as a member of parliament for Nakawa East. But I can tell you, I was not allowed to enter Prisoners Parish the day for the voting. The day for voting. Prisoners Parish has 10 polling stations, but we were not allowed. But NRM Rohingya team were allowed to go and do all that had to mess. So now, you could not, if we had such a scenario in the elections, don't get surprised that we are where we are. So it was just, it was a process being handled to go where we are.
Okay.
Ugandans need to wake up. We are now pure in a family military monarchy state.
All right. When we do return, we start from there as Moses has a point to put across. But we've got more conversations coming along, including a different perspective from one of the other guests coming on. And also, Bide is on ground and he'll be giving us details of where he is and how the preparations for swearing in is going. You're watching Morning at NTV. Stick around. here on the Kickstarter for Morning at NTV. Our conversations do continue. Of course, we're looking inside the speaker contest, the influence and the experience. And on top of it, the next speakers rise and how or if they will rise above party politics. Huge conversations. I did mention earlier that if time is willing, we shall be joined by other two gentlemen on set, and here they are. We are now joined by Abdul Twaib Magambo from the National Unity Platform at the extreme left of my side on set. A very good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us. And closest to him, we do have Ashraf Kakaire, a youth activist and political observer. Good morning, Ashraf.
Good morning, viewers. I'm happy to be once again.
Well, glad to have you. I want to first speak your thoughts on the speakership election yesterday. I'll start with Ashraf. Yes. What is your take of it? What did you make of it yesterday? But most importantly, NRM still having the power within those two positions, I should say.
Are you surprised that NRM still has the power within the two positions?
I'm not surprised.
So what happened yesterday, according to very many Ugandans out there, it was basically because we've been having a lot of build-ups to what the climax was yesterday, and we all knew that after the endorsement of TT, Right Honorable Taeba, and also both, they could be confirmed as speakers and deputy speaker of parliament. So what happened yesterday was simply a ceremony of confirming what the NRM said. And
what was the mood like yesterday at Kololo?
The mood seemed a bit not. Actually, I've had an opportunity to witness 3 elections of speakers, and this was the 3rd one. And I want to say that the mood was a bit so low. The competition was not much. I would also want to mention that this might have been the most cheapest speakership race Uganda has ever had, from the Kadaga time to where we are now, because there seemed not to be a lot of competition. Before, to the build-up, you had Mr. Chairman Mao, building the momentum, very good campaign and making statements that could make you think that probably Mao would get so many votes. I was actually disappointed seeing Chairman Mao having only 15. And I also want to applaud the opposition members of parliament. This time round, they seemed very much committed and also teamwork. You realize that the leadership of opposition and also members of opposition walked in at the same time. That means they were somewhere caucusing at some point. But also Honorable Pomulu scoring 60 for me was a plus to the opposition, because that means most of the opposition members of parliament chose to stand with their own, even when they knew that they did not have the numbers, unlike the same Jews race and also this other race of Honorable Sereko Mohammed, where some opposition members also went and voted for NRM.
Okay, and let me now pick thoughts of Abdul Twaib Magambo. The speakership race, NUP did feel the candidate. Yeah. They were unlucky. They didn't pass through. But for you, as someone who observed this particular race from the outside, I should say, does this mean that NRM's power within the House just increases day by day?
Yeah, first and foremost, a fortnight back, when you follow media, it was like a discussion of NRM against NRM, or NRM against NRM.
They've dominated the media space.
Exactly, a fortnight back. You realize that even when they went for their retreat in Chankwanzi, it was among Mao. But as the first night, things unfolded. In the discussion, if we are genuine opposition, just like we are, we realize that we can't be followers in this entire discussion. As a party that is pro-people, we chose to be on the side of the people and front a pro-opposition candidate. And the caucus sat at the party headquarters in Makere Kavule. They came up with a credible and formidable candidate who stood to be Honorable Paul Mwiru. His experience and competence is subject not to any debate or discussion. He came out as a candidate for opposition, and of course he showed it. His brief and short manifesto summarized what he can stand for and what he envisions within the 12th parliament. But one thing that made me proud and lucky with this parliament, unlike, just like Ashraf said, when Semju contested for deputy speaker, I recall he got 27 votes.
15.
15.
He got 15
yeah,
votes.
they were 15, yet FDC had 32 MPs.
Yes.
So, in the current situation where NUP has close to 50 MPs, when you get votes that are beyond your number in parliament, first and foremost, it portrays solidarity within the party. And that there is uniformity. If you stand for a cause, let it be the cause until all happens. So getting more than 50 votes was a plus to the opposition and to NUP in particular. But if you go back to what you earlier asked, you asked a question about the position of speakership. In my view, I see it as a selection process within the NRM. That the NRM has set a pace that they can appoint and disappoint anyone at a particular time without justification whatsoever. Why? You realize that when they were in the retreat for Champwans, they said no, all those who intend to contest for speakership should step down for the candidates who are there. Actually, even they had a pre-planned strategy of chopping the head of a monk, only that they couldn't bring it before.
It's a huge word. Chopping the head is a huge word.
If they didn't, she could appear in Kololo, but she was nowhere to be seen. But they planned for the right time, that after maybe swearing in as a member of parliament, a woman member of parliament for Kedia, she will have no powers. And in the course, you take all actions that are possible. That is when we saw Kawanda coming out just thumping and reading a letter from his chairman. It is so bewildering. And more so when you see a CDF of the army just giving directions. You can't tell me that that is constitutionalism. Okay. A CDF of an army who is not a party member of any political party, but a head or a chairman of a certain political movement, just giving directions. The narrative behind all of this is to portray him as the chief fighter of what? Corruption. However, in all this entire game, I credit and give salutations to Right Honorable Joe Sonyonyi. He won all this, even including the denial of tabling the Bamuturachi report about Uganda Airlines.
On that point, gentlemen, let me ask, what is the biggest threat facing this parliament? Is it corruption? Is it fear? Is it party control? Or the public mistrust? Because all of these are embedded in one. The public is skeptical about what parliament can be.
Yeah.
The corruption scandals here and there. There's also fear of whether they can perform. And then party control. I'll pick your thoughts from Job as we get the other side.
Yeah, thank you very much. My brothers who are here, Abdul, Twaib, Magambo, and Ashraf, and then Okwera, and the Sonko, and my viewers. Good morning once again. Matwa speaking. Yours truly, Assistant President Seat Commissioner, Arua City. What is the biggest threat facing the parliament? I would improve this question further by saying, what are the biggest threats facing the parliament?
Okay.
One, corruption. Institutionalized corruption. If you can give me a chance, I want to dig deeper into it. What happens in the parliament, countrymen and women, is it is. During the budgeting process, in fact, before that, a presiding officer with a bad intention, a speaker with a bad intention, first ensure that the person who becomes the chairperson budgeting committee is with him or her. She dictates what this person should do. During the budgeting process, all ministries, departments, and agencies of government, what we call MODL, take their budgets for approval in the parliament. Now, your budget will not be approved without incorporating money for those people in your budget. So meaning that somebody can put a 5 billion additional money
on the budget of, say, UECDL. I said that? Huh? Before the budget is approved, then that 5 billion must be put on the budget of UCDL. So by the time the budget is approved, money already budgeted for corruption is inserted inside our national budget. This is the corruption the president was talking about last time. Now, again, a mechanism is created. You can now see Parliament, which is supposed to protect and defend the interest of the people, then it budgets corruptly its interest in the national budget. It goes to the agencies or ministry. Then you can see a ministry has been brought in. This kind of corruption is called institutionalized corruption. This is the corruption which has been taking place in the Parliament. It even went further to the parliamentary commission budget. Nobody, not even opposition. If I have my brother from opposition here, you will tell me whether MPs from NUP have ever seen the budget or parliamentary commission. It is always a past or in opaque nature. Nobody knows how much money is budgeted for parliamentary commission. It is not even debated during the appropriation process. That is corruption which has been in Parliament. Number two, impunity and stroke tyranny. It began in Tennessee Parliament when we began seeing overbearing presiding officer, to the extent that the speaker then went up to the extent of choosing which MPs should be going outside for travels. In the 6th and 7th Parliament, that decision was residing with the clerk to Parliament. In fact, the clerk to Parliament from Jane Chibilige then to Adolf Mwesije lost their power and surrendered to the speaker, leading to the impunity and the tyranny you saw in the 10th and 11th Parliament. So therefore, we must deal with the impunity and the tyranny of the presiding officers in the Parliament. That is another problem. To the extent that if you are not friendly to the presiding officer, you cannot even be given a chance to talk, to submit in Parliament. There were MPs who would only talk when the Right Honorable Thomas Taebwa is in the chair. Can you imagine? Yet you have elected your MP from your different constituencies to represent your views. Then somebody they are called presiding officer will want to decide whether or not your MP should talk. Jesus of Nazareth and Muhammad of Mecca. These are the things that we must deal with decisively. Then my brother Abdul said, CDF has come and they could not be the one to fight corruption. There is nowhere stated in the constitution that no Ugandan should fight corruption.
No, he actually said he seems like he's controlling.
I am coming to that. I want to tell you, my brother, even if it is a baby who has seen something wrong, that baby should talk about it. Because corruption is taking 10 trillion away from our national budget. Okay. My brothers who are here, 10 trillion can do a lot for this country. Now, I want the new presiding officer, Speaker, the Right Honorable Jacob Oboto and the Right Honorable Thomas Taebwa, Deputy Speaker, I am requesting them to first go and review their budget. The budget of Office of Speaker was increased from 4 billion to 19 billion. Can you imagine? 19 billion may even be the budget of a certain district, if I'm not mistaken, or half the budget of a state district. Can you review that budget and reduce it at least by 3/4 and use the excess money to buy ambulances for government health facilities in Uganda? 19 billion. Now, which means the deputy speaker could be having about half of that, or even 3/4 of that as his budget. Go and review the budget for travels. I don't know what MPs are going to, that benchmarking and whatever, and the president is also not happy about that thing. I think that, now, that budget should be reviewed. And two, can you empower the office of the clerk to do this thing so that you are not tempted? You know, if I'm a Catholic, there's a prayer, our popular prayer, that do not let me fall into temptation, but deliver me away from every evil. Actually, the Christian said, deliver me away from evil. Then the priest comes to emphasize that deliver us away from every evil. I said that. So now, therefore, the issue of impunity and tyranny by presiding officers must be solved. Lastly, there's another problem. parliament is having 529 MOPs for a population of about 58 million citizens. That parliament is so heavy, it is a burden to the taxpayer. The new presiding officer should discuss with the MOPs, and we need a motion to amend the constitution. Let us have 2 MOPs per district, 1 woman and 1 man. Then we add this with the affirmative action groups, the special interest groups. That will be enough for this country. So 1 woman, 1 man will balance the gender.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
We're mentioning issues to do with the biggest threats facing Parliament, whose leadership sworn in yesterday. And he does mention the corruption, tyranny, impunity, and then also that
too much heavy numbers. People
don't talk the numbers, but there's quite other problems there. Which are those, if you are?
Thank you so very much. My name is once again Mugisha Moses Okwera. I'm the chairperson of FDC Nakawa and secretary for Health FDC NEC. Now, our worst fear, like I said, now we are very, very highly challenged that we are entering into a military monarchy family rule in Uganda, and Ugandans must wake up. We are really fused. We are really fused within now NRM and now by extension PRU. The worst fear now is going to be what the family of Mr. Museveni is saying. Now, you have a CDF who is leading a pressure group. For heaven's sake, how can a CDF lead a pressure group? How? You don't have, which situation do you have? You are all army commander, you are leading a pressure group in the name of PRU. You are now who is deciding who becomes the speaker and the speaker. The CDF is now who announces the speaker through Honorable Kabanda, who announces the speaker and who announces the speaker. Now, that's the worst fear. Another fear which is now going to disturb us, what is Mr. Salim Saleh saying? So now the whole thing is surrounding with just family. That's why I'm calling it now, becoming now a family military monarchy, which is the one which is now going to disturb all the MPs. MPs, for heaven's sake, you are voted by the people, you have the mandate. Don't bow down to any pressure by General Muhoozi, by General Saleh, by whoever it is. You are voted by the people. So the biggest fear is going to be at the family level. That's the challenge. Yes, corruption has been mentioned several times. This government is not fighting corruption at all, completely at all, and it won't, because its life and purpose depends on corruption itself. The history checks us very well. We know so many MPs who were taken to Ruzira and convicted of corruption, and in turn made ministers. For instance, when I was some cases there, when Jim Moise is there, all these are for all of us to see. So in other words, if anybody is fighting corruption, you can't be convicted by corruption and then somebody is appointed the minister by the same government. So this government can't be deceiving us that they're fighting corruption at all. So if you ask me, the worst fear is what the family is saying. What is Moses saying, what is Salim Saleh saying, we are going to be seeing here. After some people being appointed as ministers, they are going to be reporting to Guru. Like you have seen, some time back, so the vice president is going to report to Guru, the prime minister is going to report to Guru, that kind of stuff. So Ugandans, it's high time we woke up to this realization that what is killing us now is a tribal, is a family rule monarchy. If you don't break that monarchy, and Ugandans will have the power, have the powers. You can't sit there and see PRU doing what they're doing, and we're just quiet. PRU pressure group here headed by the army commander, and that's lawlessness of the highest order. Lawlessness of the highest order. So that's going to be the worst fear. Yes, whatever Anita Among was doing in Parliament, Mr. Museveni was always knowing. At one time I saw Anita Among, I think in Mukedia, that hey, Mr. Museveni, the money I've been using here, it's coming from before the public. So when you see them try to ask why the person is getting the money, it's just politics. It's not anything. But how they voted the speaker, Mr. Members who are present here. in Mukono, I can give an example. The speaker is supposed to be for the people. That's why even some of us now who are outside the parliament, we feel like we are also in the parliament by extension through the speakers. I give an example in Mukono here. In Mukono, the biggest number of councillors are new, but they voted NRM as a speaker. Sometime back in Jinja, this is outgoing term. In Jinja, the biggest number of councillors were NRM. They voted FDC, and so was Kavale. So the moment a speaker is supposed to be neutral, supposed to leave people to be free to vote the person they feel they want. In fact, if the president loved a fair way of doing things, would have put much energy on the speaker and let the speaker to be voted at free will by anybody. Can be FDC, can be independent, can be NUP, can be DP. The speaker would be the best. So that would be the best. Just at least if you want the speaker, you just fight so much to have the speaker, and then deputy. Leave it a free will, so the public feels like we're also owning our own as a deputy.
Okay.
So the worst fear, like I must repeat, the worst fear going forward is going to be a CDF PRU.
Okay.
But as Ugandans, we have the right to fight that pressure group headed by the MA commander.
Well, Ashraf,
Yes.
I wonder if you're a member of parliament and you had been voted into the current parliament and you expected to shape Uganda's political direction from now and beyond. And then, these cases continue to hit your head. Parliament is known for this, Parliament is known for this. How do you change the narrative? And that is if you have been voted.
My brother Adrian, I don't imagine being voted, but this is my thinking. Firstly, in a minute to respond to my brother here, the issue of voting of the speaker is about policy versus practice. What does the policy say, for example? Because when we come here and just talk about the way we would want it to appear, it's as if we are just, because we are discussing the practice now, how is it done? But how must it be done as per the law? You get my point? That is number one. Number two, honestly speaking, the challenge is we are in two-party politics. That's for a fact. Like ATM, my brother said, you expect them to caucus as NUP and they come up with a 60 because that is their position, because it is party politics. Vis-a-vis, even the NRM caucus, they come up with the hugest numbers because they have the numbers. But for me, the issue would have been, for example, we talked about how to change the narrative and all that. The biggest fear for me could be two things. One, power centers. You had in Mr. Right Honorable Taylor's speech, he mentioned the president like 15 times. You had in the speech of Right Honorable Obafo, he mentioned corruption like 8 times. And I was wondering, none of them mentioned the people that came before them. Wouldn't have had this race of speakership unless when there was a sitting speaker. I want to avoid mentioning names in this conversation. You get my point? None of them thanked those that they worked with before. It's as if we did not have a speaker, a previous speaker. I was a bit disappointed by a deputy that did not mention
or acknowledge the former boss.
Do you want to tell me that the previous parliament, the Labour Parliament, did not achieve anything? It is in the previous parliament that through the Kokasa chairperson, Mr. Joel, they talked about the saga and the mistakes that happened at Uganda Airlines. That was the previous. How much money was, saved?
And it actually revamped the entire airline board.
It is the previous, the 11th parliament did reach to a lot of great things that we must acknowledge. So I was a bit disappointed in a way. I saw Right Honorable Kadaga Litwala congratulating both the speaker and the deputy speaker. I didn't see that coming in the previous election.
Yeah. She was part of the race.
These are questions, yes. These are questions we must ask for us to ensure that we restore sanity in our, kind of politics and governance that we are dealing with. But, again, you asked a very important question. I want to mention that most of the public servants in Uganda and within the region, when you look at the corruption patterns, most of these public servants, actually, most of them know what they're supposed to be doing. Most of them. But it is because that the environment within which they function is not result-oriented. I'm glad that government is coming up now with an approach of what we call result-based M&E. We gave out this number of mosquito nets. The output, we give out this number of them. Then what is the result? What is the outcome? How many cases are we now reduced on malaria? You get my point? Now, because the environment is not result-oriented, it puts some of these public servants in a position where they cannot fully function. Not all of these people that are too corrupt. Now, within the window, because you very much know how governments function, we were given this amount of money to spend this financial year. Now, time reaches, we must return this amount of money back to the treasury. Now, during that window, that's when much of the investment of government funds is done. Because someone seeing this huge amount of money that was supposed to do a certain activity, going to return to the treasury. Then they find themselves embezzling the funds. So I think the environment not being result-oriented is also an issue. But also, most importantly, I feel bad when my leader here from Nakawa, because I do a lot of work from Nakawa, says what government is doing is not a fight against corruption. Now, those baby steps should never be underestimated in achieving public administration. I like it when the president, I saw the president's face changing and the voice and the tone yesterday. I like it when he does that, because that means probably what is most important is for people to acknowledge that there is a problem. For me, that's step number one, combat corruption. If the president says this is happening, for me, I can't water that down. You get my point? Because now, people will think, because the president, all along been crying to Mr. President, you have the powers to appoint and disappoint. Ashraf is misbehaving. I'm using myself because I'm not annoyed with myself. Ashraf is misbehaving. How about you change? You haven't mentioned that. You're a minister, they steal this money, I'll replace you. Now, because people start now to fear to be replaced, we will have people doing the right thing.
Okay. Abdul Twaib, I wonder if it was a bet, majority of the Ugandans would have put their stake on both winning the speakership race, simply because of the fact that the NRM had endorsed him. So in simple terms, we had already known, we had a clue on who would win the race, even before the members of parliament really cast their vote. So should Ugandans judge the winner by competence? Should they judge him by independence? Or should they judge him by closeness to power?
I think none of the above. But they should judge the speaker or anybody who is appointed by his level of loyalty and obedience to the first family. As simple as that. He who takes a diversionary route seems to fall in a ditch that Among has just fallen into.
But she was very loyal to the
No. There is a reason why the search is still on for more than a week now. What are they searching for?
Where are they searching now after searching the homes?
They are now onto the radio stations, they are now onto the schools. And as therefore night, facts will be told to the public.
As we are yet to hear what the investigation.
I am very sure.
We're waiting for public.
Because in politics there is something that happens behind the curtains or behind the scenes. A lot behind the scenes has been appearing before have portrayed loyalty. But back to the point. You see, NRM regime survives and thrives on corruption. Its heartbeat for the past 40 years has been corruption. From age limit, term limit, all sorts of amendments that have been happening in the parliament. They have been, at least, they have been irrigated by corruption amount of money to MPs. For term limit, it was 5 million. For age limit, it was 100 million, and so on and so on. So that is how they have managed to survive and thrive. telling me that they are fighting corruption today is a sheer lie. Why? The type of corruption they are fighting for is if someone who is in the system turns to be a threat to the existing system, then he tends to be a corrupt official. But for as long as your level of loyalty and obedience to the first family and the ruling class is in tandem with their aspiration, you are not corrupt even when you swindle the entire national budget. That is how their fight against corruption is coming. That is why in my initial submission, I revered and I saluted Right Honorable Joe Sonyon. Why? His first 2 years and a half when he was COSASA chairperson, in the course of his COSASA work, he showed how these institutions, the government agencies and ministry have swindled money without accountability.
But that's what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, of course. Goalkeepers in soccer are paid soccer for saving goals. You would say that since he's a goalkeeper, we shouldn't add him salary. But you give credit where it is due. In most cases, someone who stands firm and solid and he says, despite, because when he became law, his budget was cut from 4.6 billion to 3.2 billion. Personally, I believe it was a ground of setting a negotiation ground. That maybe when we reduce his he will be forced to come on the negotiating table and we work as a team. He said, despite what you're chopping, for as long as I remain with my entitled salary as a member of parliament and as law, I will do my work genuinely and absolutely. He mentioned about Mukono. Personally, I was in Mukono in NUP caucus. They have 18 councillors, and I organized the internal party voting, where we came up with Phoebe as our candidate as a party. But by the time I left, I told them that if you are not careful enough, you're going to turn into the next Rubaga. And as they followed night, here they are. Because I realized there was a lot of internal bickering within the party members or councillor. But it is not that NRM was strong. NRM just used that advantage. I was in Wakiso as well when we were voting for Speaker of our Wakiso District Council. We had 44 candidates, sorry, 44 councillors. NRM had 52. But my greatest aspiration, or the party's greatest aspiration, was let us lose honorably with our 44 what? That is why I saluted the members of parliament that despite Honorable Mwe losing, he never lost with a figure below our numbers. But in Wakiso, I was surprised that we got 35 out of 44. These 9 other colleagues were compromised by the RDC caucus, and they were given a vote actually to prove.
They took a decision to vote.
No! It was complicated with 1 million shillings. 1 million. Democracy. You go and vote.
Gentlemen, we're out of time. I want to get your thoughts in just a minute each. I'll start with you. Parliament, what are your expectations? A brief answer for the next 5 years.
I expect utmost obedience and loyalty from the Speaker to the first family. I expect the credible leader of opposition to keep the government in constant check. And I expect a new breed of leaders like Honorable Yusuf Chirurut and Keretani Maseroka and like-minded colleagues to challenge the status quo.
Ashra,
thank you.
Expectation?
I think this parliament will do us more good than harm. I see them doing out of checks and balances to government, but also importantly to help them, because government, public seems to have lost some trust in parliament. I'm seeing these newcomers being so vigilant to ensure that they do their best to ensure that they promote the parliament. But also, Right Honorable both is a good individual to sit in the chair of the speakership. He can control the house. What we need in parliament is to have people debate, people share their findings, people read reports and then recommend where necessary. So I'm seeing this parliament doing a lot of debating, because a mixture of both Honorable TT, who are both very, by lack of better words, very patient individuals in terms of listening, very good debaters. We shall have a very good parliament that will have debate. But also lastly, I also think we must as a population, because this is a recommendation, we must, we from the non-state actors, civil society, open space, and these others, we must ensure that we awaken the spirits of the population and communities. There is a mismatch when government officials talk about corruption and the middle class. They seem to be understanding how bad it is, but the peasantry that are mostly affected seem not to be understood. So we must awaken the population to be in position to ask for accountability at the end of the day.
All right, thank you, Mugisha.
Thank you so very much. I don't expect so much in this parliament. Firstly, even the Honour Speaker, both who was voted yesterday, and he kept on saying corruption, is among those that took Mabati, 300 pieces of Mabati. So I don't expect so much from this parliament. Some of these MPs, almost 100 MPs, didn't go through well. They were just appoint so and so go through, so and so. It was just by either force. Even these people are opposed. An example of Bukedia, a woman MP of Parliament, FDC, Noma, who was not allowed to stand. Who was just not allowed to be nominated. So I don't expect so much in this Parliament, as long as there is a PLU, there is CDF trying to command whatever goes in the Parliament. Completely don't expect anything. But as Ugandans, we need to wake up against this monarchy state. If we don't wake up, we shall be like that. So I expect so much of automatic obedience from these MPs to the First Family or to CDF.
Joe, your expectation?
Thank you very much. To the viewers, I expect 6 things from the 12th Parliament. 1, I expect improved quality of debate, because the chair, who's the speaker himself,
outlined
here, so has asked for research-based debate. I expect improve the public opinion about Parliament. I expect decency in the leadership of Parliament. Will not see bad talks. I expect no fears among the MP. Hence ambience, sanity in Parliament. I expect harmony, and at most I expect less corruption.
Before
we were closing.
I want to appreciate, because the deputy is here, the people of Arua, they gave us both a mayor and an MP who are, if not the youngest, one of the most youngest MP, and also chairperson, the mayor in Arua. So it gives an opportunity to young people to showcase their abilities. I have received
Thank you very much for being part of this conversation this morning. My guests, I've moved along with the Assistant Resident City Commissioner for Arua City, Job Matua. Thank you again for being part of this conversation. You're welcome. Moses Mugisha Okwera, the chairperson, FDC Nakawa, and then Ashraf Kekaire, a youth activist and also a political observer and an analyst in the same regard. Thank you again, Ashraf, for joining us. Abdul Twaib Magambo, Coordination Assistant to the Organizing Secretary at the National Unity Platform. Thank you very much for being part of our conversation this morning, and send greetings, all of you, to the parties you represent in the capacity you've been here. I'm Joram Posonko. Thank you again for being part of us. We do this tomorrow from 6:30 a.m. Have yourself a good morning.